But Mike, when you have to make models for complicated drama programs like Anna Karenina, for instance, and you have to start from scratch, foreground and all, what do you do?
There you have an example of a model made for television.
But why use a model?
Well, it's a bit expensive going to Russia in the winter, and film crews cost an awful lot out there.
Well, when you make a model like that, where do you make it?
We make it here in this model stage of ours. It's a case of putting it together on the spot.
Well, where do you put it down? Where's the model?
This is it. This is what you see.
You're joking.
No, we just stand it all together. There's no point in fixing anything down that isn't necessary. We stand it together, heap it up, dress it in the right way, and there's your model.
Oh, just like that?
Just like that.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, well, you film it. I'll show you how it's done. We start off with some salt. This makes the snow. Well, it's cheap. It's a very good substitute for snow itself. And it handles very well. There are all sorts of qualities about it you can use for dressing. And when you first lay it out, it's damp like this. And it got the right sort of broken quality of snow. Having got the salt into place, the next thing I'd do would be to build up the background hills using ordinary paper, just ordinary grey paper, bent, twisted, just stapled into place, very, very simply and roughly. The whole point is that the more the paper is bent and broken, the better the look of the hill outline when you're finished. Then this trough that we have here, left here, is where the train will run in due course. What it needs now is a few trees. Most model trees of this sort are usually far too regular and, I don't know, Christmas cakey. Trees in the wild never look very regular, they're always knocked about by the wind and weather. A bit of roughness and general wear and tear is a good thing. And a good idea is to use one of these ordinary kitchen sieves, and you can put the snow on very comfortably like that. We'll leave that like that for a moment. Beginning to look all right. Last of all, I think it needs a bit of foreground dressing. Have a look through the viewfinder and see what you think.
That's quite remarkable. And the moment you've got this model on film, the whole thing is destroyed. It took how long to set it up? An hour? It's a short life and a chilly ending. Do you make any other models?
Oh, obviously, yes. We cover all the models there are, Doctor Who models. In fact, one of my colleagues, Matt Irvin, is responsible for a very high standard of model making in Doctor Who itself.
Matt, what's this spaceship for?
This was made, Bob, for Doctor Who, recent Doctor Who, The Stones of Blood. I'm just adding a few additional technological bits and pieces to it.
What are they?
Well, basically, they're the outside bits and pieces that make the craft look right.
Well, why do you put them on?
People expect them to be there.
And what sort of materials do you use?
Nowadays, plastic, I would say 95% of the time. With the advent of this sort of piece, it's made our job considerably easier. A few years ago, I would have said wood or cardboard.
We used to use wood for this sort of thing, and it does look like wood, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is, of course, a rather unique example because the original is wood. But you can see here that the wood still looks like wood and would need a lot of work on it.
But to make it look like metal?
Yes, so with the plastic, of course, that stage is completely overcome.
And what sort of material, what sort of bits and pieces do you get to make it look real? What are your engines made of?
In this particular case, I've used parts of drain pipes, filters, and as you can see, once sprayed, they become fairly convincing alien engines.
Having put the whole lot together and sprayed it in the sort of space color you consider right, how do you make it look worn, you know, as if it's flown about?
The secret is dirt. Although technically a spacecraft needn't necessarily pick up any dirt in space, people expect it to look a bit grubby. So 1 can of paint, and as you can see, the mottled effect gives it that dirty, worn look. It's no overall colour by any means, but from a distance, it just makes it look real.
In the feature film business, this kind of model may take months to outline and film, but Matt Irwin's work is done in a few hours. And now, here comes the Doctor Who spaceship. Rather more solidly based on real life is Pendon Village in Oxfordshire. The model's only partly completed, though it's been building for nearly 50 years. It preserves the beauty of old villages in Whitehorse Vale, now being destroyed by modern improvements. The people building Pendon Parva invited me to speak the commentary which guides the visitors round. The wagon and horses was Pendon's first model. The thatch is made of Chinese human hair, but that costs over £7 a pound. So now we use plumber's hemp, which is equally good and much cheaper. And this is the house of the manager at the watermill. All the buildings are copied from known originals. This is Curtis Cottage from Uffington, and they're all accurate down to the individual bricks and stones. Not far away is the primitive Methodist chapel. Just look at that spalled brickwork. The chapel itself no longer exists, but the joy of Pendon is to put the clock back. The work's hard, but there's no crime and not much sickness apart from Zippy, the ailing pony. It's all very quiet. Even ruin and decay seem not so much an intrusion as a natural part of the scene. How pleasant it would be to shrink to model size and scale down modern problems as well. But now that I'm here, the social pressures are exactly the same as in real life. Just look at his garden. Why can't I have a garden like that? He's got gladioli, hypericum, mombretia, and his nasturtiums are growing like weeds. Everything you need in a cottage garden. Maybe he goes in for more watering than I do. Watering. Just about opening time at the wagon and horses. Morning, George. Morning, Harry. Good bunch around here, but they don't say much. Well, even if you're only 3/4 of an inch high, it's still very refreshing after a hard day. But I must be getting on with my journey. I've always wanted to drive one of these, even if it's only as far as the depot. I see Colin Tyler needs a hand with his steam ploughing. That's the trouble with these lovely old steam engines. First of all, you've got to be almost an athlete to get onto them, and then you've always got to do something to keep them going. That's my train. I'm afraid Colin Tyler will have to manage on his own. Hey, wait for me! It's the ideal way to complete the journey, by train, riding in the cab. Well, I hope you enjoyed this journey through the world of models and model makers as much as I have. But after this, life full-size will never be the same again. I must go now, so goodbye. Goodbye.